Not many people would say this, but I regret my time at the University of Cambridge. I didn't know how to make the most of my experience there, which meant I left with no graduate job, no internship, and basically no experience. I think I was so wrapped up in the idea of actually getting into Cambridge and getting over the imposter syndrome that I forgot that you actually needed to do other things as well to help you with getting a job.
She got into Cambridge and still left with nothing to show for it. That's the part nobody talks about. Getting in is just the starting line. The girls who actually win are the ones building connections, stacking experience, showing up everywhere. The degree alone, it's just a pretty frame with no picture inside.
If I had the opportunity to do Cambridge all over again, I would 100% try and get involved in more societies that could have helped me in landing an internship or developing consulting related experiences. The other thing I would do differently is making better connections across the organization with professors from different faculties, because ultimately these people could potentially open doors that you didn't know existed.
Genuinely think that some degrees are actually pointless to achieve. One big example is the marketing degree. I don't study marketing, I study engineering, but I do marketing related things. When I tell you that the best way to learn is to do, I think it's very true in some circumstances. Because when you're creating videos and etc., you're failing, you're trying, and you're doing it all over. Whereas if you're learning from a book and processing that information and retaining it, and you don't put it into practice, how are you gonna learn from it? All of that stuff is like in your brain and not out in the real world. I don't know. Should you study marketing? Probably not.
She's speaking facts here. Marketing is not a sit-in-class subject. It's a get-your-hands-dirty game. Post content, run campaigns, build something real. The girls eating in this field didn't learn it from a textbook. They learned it by doing it scared.
After a decade in higher ed, I've noticed a really interesting pattern with people who say they regret getting a certain degree and people who say they're really glad they got a certain degree. The degrees people say that they regret usually have like three things in common. The first is usually that they come with a lot of debt but have no real career outcome. The second is they were told by some like advisor or something to figure it out later, what they would do with the degree later, and later never came. And the third is that these are typically degrees that have no internships, no certifications, no licensure that's attached to it. So there's really kind of like no path to follow afterwards. Now, the pattern I see with people who say they love the degree they got is a little bit different. They usually connect directly to a field in some way. Even if it's not some glamorous job, there's some field at the end of it. The second thing may seem weird, but usually these degrees give you some kind of skills that you can explain in one sentence. When you can easily explain what it is that you're getting from a degree, people typically feel happier about it. And the third is that people really like degrees that they feel like can give them options after college. The key here, though, is that it's not about subject. I've heard both sides of this argument about every subject you can think of. It's about the strategy, and it's not the strategy that the individual student sets for themselves. It's the strategy that the student is talked to about, is guided through. When people do not have that person that can help them navigate what's next after college, they oftentimes end up regretting the degree that they got. But it's not because of the degree itself, it's because they just didn't have the information to feel successful after college.
This right here is the real conversation. So many girls pick a major at 18 with zero guidance, zero roadmap, just vibes, and then blame themselves when it doesn't work out. The system handed you a blank map and called it education. That's not on you. But knowing that now, use it.
Looking back, when I was a pre-med, one of my biggest regrets was being a STEM major, especially now that I'm a medical student. Being a STEM major just made my life really hard. My GPA probably would have looked so much better. Honestly, at the time, I didn't realize that you could go to medical school and not be a STEM major. Like, yes, some of those science classes are definitely helpful, but you can also just do the prereqs. Like, yeah, being a public health major, that would have been awesome. Or psychology. Like, being a STEM major didn't give me like a huge advantage in medical school, quite honestly. I mean, regardless, you have to have good study habits no matter what you major in, which I didn't even implement active recall until I got to med school, so make sure you do it now. Like, if I had known how to use Anki before I got to med school, or if I had known about apps like Unstuck to help me make study questions, yeah, that would have been nice. So yeah, if you don't want to major in STEM, just don't. Do your prereqs and call it a day.
4 brutal years of STEM just to walk into med school and start completely over anyway. She learned the hard way that the destination was always the same. She just picked the most exhausting route to get there. Work smarter. Protect that GPA. Same finish line, easier road.
In your 20s, you're going to come across people that tell you you don't need a college degree to be successful. It is very important that you do not listen to those people, because as children of immigrants, We don't have a safety net. We know we have to work twice as hard, and a college degree in America is the great equalizer. Sure, it is not enough these days to be successful, but that doesn't mean you can just shortcut your way to success without it, because if you try to do so, you're signing up for a much more difficult path. And what we don't often talk about enough is that those 4 years are so fundamental to your personal and professional development in a way that you just can't replicate out in the real world. And so, sure, is it possible to be successful without a college degree? Yes, but it is a much more difficult path.
This one hits different for first-gen girls. No safety net is not a phrase. It's your actual life. When your family sacrificed everything to give you this shot, skipping the degree isn't being bold. It's gambling with something that wasn't only yours to gamble with.
Parents can do for their daughter is send them to university. You're going to send your daughter to a place where there is so much fitna for her to get a degree for a job that she doesn't like, to work for a boss who will fire her in an instant. You're going to do all this just so she can become educated.
Why do men fear an educated woman so much? It's actually hilarious to me, because in this day and age where men are now saying that they don't want to pay for all the bills and rent, etc., and they want to go 50-50, how are you going to go 50-50 with an unemployed woman who's not got an education? We can't rely on men anymore, and that is just a fact because they've proved it to us countless times by saying, why should we provide this? Why should we give that? No, I want to do 50-50. Does it not occur to people like him that, say if a woman didn't get an education, she didn't have a career, she gets married straight away. If she then gets divorced or left or cheated on, whatever, she will then have to either stay in that marriage in an abusive, toxic relationship, or if she leaves, then she's basically penniless and jobless. In the Quran and Hadith, there is so much evidence on not only Islam permitting women to get an education, but also encouraging it. For example, Ashifa bint Abdullah was skilled in medicine and writing, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed her to teach Sayyidah Hafsa those skills. The Prophet ﷺ also said that anyone who seeks a path to knowledge, Allah will make a path to Jannah for them. And this doesn't specify just deen-based knowledge. Also, if remixing is haram for both men and women, why does everyone only ever focus on the women?
Coming from big sister who's in college, you will still have no job if you sit in your room and don't go to any networking events. That's literally what they're for. Unless you get a nursing or an engineering degree, which we can all kind of assume are the top 2 degrees, if you really just wanted to go for 4 years and never wanted to see school again. If you didn't like school, that's the degree you would have gotten, so you don't have to go back. So I don't want to hear that from y'all. But what in all good standards? What in good standards makes y'all think you're going to get a job in a networking position when you didn't talk to anybody? They don't know you. There are thousands of people going for that application. If you picked a more common major, why didn't you network?
She is heated, and she's completely right. You cannot lock yourself in your dorm for 4 years, grab the diploma, and then act surprised the job market ghosted you. College is a 4-year networking event with homework attached. The girls winning after graduation, they were in every room possible before it.
Y'all be sitting in y'all dorms all day talking about your 4-year degree was a waste of time. Absolutely it was, if you didn't go out with the networking degree to go network with people to get the networking job. That's like, business is literally a networking system. You should have been on that.
I found university really hard, did not enjoy it as an experience whatsoever. And since graduating, I have gone through this weird grieving process where I'm like, okay, university's over. Everyone said that was meant to be the best 3 years of my life, and it actually kind of sucked, and now it's done. What the fuck? And you know what, there were so many reasons why I didn't enjoy it and so many lessons I've learned from that, which I share on my page now. But I think the biggest thing is just reaching this acceptance that, you know what, uni was not what I was expecting it to be, and it's over. I don't get another shot at it. I didn't enjoy it, and that was it. And that is so sad, but also not to let that ruin what I have now, because at the end of the day, life post-university is suiting me so much better. I'm so much happier, and I still have the best years of my life ahead of me. So if that's you, you're struggling at university, or you've graduated and you were like, what was that? It was not what I was expecting. Then I would love for you to follow along, because I really am processing this out loud, and I think it's so helpful to have someone to relate to if you're also going through the same thing.
Please don't be too quick to disregard your intuition and listen to other people's opinions and advice on what you should study. When it comes to studying degrees, it is a personal choice that you need to make, because it's you that's going to be dealing with those modules. And, sometimes people will discourage you. They'll tell you certain fields are oversaturated, so study this degree instead of this one. Guys, law, I've been told so many times in South Africa, it's an oversaturated field. But there are still students going to study law. There are still people practicing as lawyers. There are companies hiring lawyers and looking for lawyers. So Please, before you make this drastic decision of listening to what your friend is saying or what your aunt is saying when it comes to studying what you need to study or want to study, please do thorough research. It's the same with a lot of like academic degrees where people will tell you, no, this is a useless field. Please do your research and go and see for yourself.
A lot of people say that my degree in musical theater is absolutely useless. So let's talk business real quick. You are not special by having a business degree. When you walk into a job interview and you say that you have a business degree from this random college that you went to, they're gonna look at it and be like, okay, we don't care. Everyone else in that room has a business degree. Say I walk into that interview and I have my musical theater degree, a bunch of business certifications, actual proof that I'm good at marketing, that I'm good at finance because of my stock portfolio, because of all the things that I've done. Who do you think that they're gonna hire? The person who's the exact same as every other candidate that's walking into the job, or someone who is a breath of fresh air, actually knows what the heck I'm talking about because I didn't just use ChatGPT. Who stands out in that job interview process?
Musical theater degree with certifications, a portfolio, and real proof she knows her stuff, versus a generic business degree with absolutely nothing behind it. She walks in the room different and she knows exactly why. The degree starts the conversation. Everything you built outside class is what actually wins the job.
I could start all over in college. What I would have done differently is, number one, I would have finished my bachelor's degree. I'm 50 years old. I probably only have but less than 10 credits left to finish my bachelor's, but I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it to me financially. I have made $100,000 with my associate's degree, and I'm very happy with what I have. But if I were to do things differently, I would have finished my bachelor's degree, and then I would have gone on to PA school. Going from X-ray and working a year or two in that, and then going on to PA school is a wonderful transition. You learn so many disease processes and all about how to order imaging and what imaging is best. And I feel like that would have been a really great transition for me. That is the one thing that I maybe regret the most in my career, is not finishing that degree. But I'm 50 and I'm happy and I love what I do and I love where I work. And so no looking back, only looking forward. But just some advice: if I were starting out very young, I would finish that bachelor's degree, and then you have that option to go back to PA school, which would just be another 2 years of school after that bachelor's.